There's no doubt in my mind that the person who has done the most in the last 22 months, and I want you to know I was the cause of this, is Don Stevenson, who has touched the hearts of a lot of people from coast to coast. I don't know how many people he talked to in the 22 months that he's walked, but it's a bunch. It's a bunch. And every one of them that have talked to him and then talked to me have been overcome with emotion for what this man has done for them. It's not so much the money, the amount of money that he raises for these causes. It's the fact that he brings to your mind and mine and anybody that will listen or watch what he's there for. He's not there for that. He's there to help human beings be better. And you can't ask any more of anybody. And so I'd like to personally say to Don, I thank you for what you've given me in this 22 months.
In a little over a week, Don Stevenson will try to walk across the North Cascades, more than 100 miles, blindfolded, in another fundraiser for Maria Federici.
This kind of gives me a feeling, all of a sudden I have this blindness too.
But he can't close his eyes to Federici's staggering medical bills. It could top $1 million.
If this makes Maria feel more determined than ever to give her life to others, I've done my job.
In Seattle, John Yeager, Q13 Fox News.
Don, when Don did this walk for Maria, he had a group of angels, he called them, that led him on this trek. I was one of those angels. However, some of us angels were a little smarter than others. I remember on the walk, part of the walk that we was on, I came to this barrier on the path. And I said to Don, the path is blocked. I don't think we can get around there. I said, why don't you take a look? No, you're going to have to do this on your own. I said, okay, well, I guess the road's blocked. We'll go around. I'll take this other road here, which we did. It's tough walking because it was loose gravel, and I mean, it was really tough walking. And then finally I came to a crossroad. I came to the end of the road and I had to go right or left, and I said, Don, come to the end of this here road and I got to go right or left. Which way do you think I should go? I don't know, so I can't see. I said, okay, well, you sit here on this rock and I'll be back. So I took off to the right, and I don't know how far I went, maybe a quarter of a mile, and I saw this sign, danger. And I saw these bombs exploding on the sign, and I said, oh, I must be out on the Yakima bombing range. Maybe I ought to turn around. So I covered the quarter mile back to Don in about 15 seconds, And so I said, Don, I think we're going to go this way. So we did, and lo and behold, I picked up the trail again, and we were on our way. In the meantime, I was getting phone calls from his very nervous wife, wanting to know if we'd been through the tunnel yet. And I told her, no, we haven't been through the tunnel. And I said, but I know we're not very far away. You've got to be a long way. If you haven't been through the tunnel, you should be through the tunnel. And they kept screaming about this tunnel. I finally told the newspaper people that when we got to the end and they met us, and I told them, it says there's supposed to be a tunnel. There's no tunnel. Did we walk this path? And I said, there's no tunnel. Well, about 2 weeks later, I decided to go take another look. There's a tunnel. Where that road was blocked, should have gone around the blockade. But we didn't. But we still had an interesting walk. We now reach a new disease for most of us, Huntington's disease. And shortly after one of Don's walks, I can't remember now exactly where we were, whether we were in the park or at Tully's having coffee. And he said to me, I need to do another walk. Can you think of something I can walk for? And I said, yes, I know something you can walk for. He said, what's that? And I said, Huntington's disease. And of course, like everybody else, he said, "What's that?" So I think I must have taken an hour and a half to tell him the story, my story of Huntington's disease, which is too long to tell it here. But suffice it to say that Huntington's disease, to me, is the worst thing that you can get. Now, I don't say that to detract from any other disease, because the worst disease there is the one that affects you personally or somebody close to you or somebody you love. That's the most devastating disease there is. This particular disease can be handed from generation to generation, but it will not skip generations. In other words, if you have a parent who has the disease, you have a 50-50 chance of inheriting that gene. I don't care how many children there are, each one of you has a 50-50 chance of inheriting that disease. If you do not get that disease, if you have not inherited that gene, your children, your grandchildren, and their grandchildren cannot be affected by that disease. That's the only good thing about it. If you do not inherit the gene, you cannot pass it on to your children. How do you know if you don't have the disease, you don't have that gene? You have to go to some clinic, around here it's the University of Washington, to be tested. To be tested is something in itself. Should I, shouldn't I? You need to be counseled. What do I need to be counseled for? You need to be counseled for them to tell you what you're going to do if you have it, what you can do if you don't have it, and on and on. But it's serious enough that if you feel that it's in your background, go get counseling to find out if you should be tested. I'm not going to say that everybody should be tested, everybody should not be tested. You've got to go find out, in your case, if you should be. There's a lady here by the name of Katie Birchfield, who's going to sing a song in honor of Don's campaign for HCSA, which he's just finished. This walk, by the way, that I asked him to do started out to be a short walk. I thought it was probably going to be like 5,000 miles in the park. And Don said, no, I'm going to do 10,000. So I thought, okay, we'll probably start this thing in the spring. Oh, no, we had to start on the 7th of January of 2007. Snow up to our ankles. Anyhow, and on he went, and he walked. Snow, rain, it didn't make any difference. He walked. And his footprints are all over the city of Auburn, all over the state of Washington for this purpose. And I personally want to thank him very much for what he's done, because people know more about Huntington's disease due to his walk than I could possibly have done on my own. It's amazing how many people came up to him while he was walking and said, you know, I know somebody with it, I have a brother with it, I have a mother with it, I have it. You know, we had no idea how many people were affected by this until Don started that walk. And so I thank you very much for that. So Don's total walk wound up to be 13,000 miles. He started in Game Farm Park here on the 7th of January in 2007, and the reason I know that date is because I was there with him. And he finished last Friday. I wasn't with him. But on that walk, Don did a lot of good. He went out of his way to go to people who wanted to see him, to go to their meeting or whatever and say a few words. And the Marines you see standing there was in Connecticut, was it not? He went from New York to Connecticut to be there for their walkathon to try and give them a little help in making more awareness. And he did that all the time, all the way across the U.S. Wherever they wanted him to be, he was there. And that's where he's been for all the time I've known him. Wherever he needed to be for somebody else, he was there. So whenever you need somebody to come and cut your grass or something, give Don a call. Yeah.